When you've had a handful of clients and you think this business thing might actually work, when you want to get more and better clients, and you know you need to be more visible online, but then you realize, oh crap, I'm fat. Okay, but for real, when I was ready to go all in on my business, I had to start being more visible online. I thought I was fine with that, and I sat down to post on my platform of choice, and I completely froze. I started to cry, and I didn't know why. I had good ideas to share. I had personal experiences that were only mine. I had helped people do stuff, but the idea of putting myself out there and inviting a spotlight on what I was saying, something inside me screamed no and just began to shrivel. As it turns out, that's not just a weird thing about me. A lot of people feel like they can't make a splash or go out on their own because of how they look or how they feel about how they look. And we talk a big game about living bold and big and proud. But when we step up to do that, it feels like it puts everything about you under a microscope. If you aren't a certain weight and age or style, it can feel like there's no room for you, or that you have no right to take up space or draw eyes to you. Or if you do, they'll be disappointed. And let's be honest, even if you are those certain things, it can be hard to invite public eyes on you. Today, I want to share a few things that help me go from terrified and tearful to confidently sharing pictures of my fat, high-earning self on the internet. Not those kind of pictures. And those are two important pieces of the puzzle. I don't fit your average profile of a business bro, and I don't get up at 4 a.m. to do squats in my infrared sauna after an ice bath. But I've worked for myself since 2013, earning a full-time income as a freelance writer, eventually moving into 200K years regularly for the past 3 years. And I've helped other people do the same, because I don't think you need to be perfect to be really good at business and help a lot of people. In this short video, I think I can help you become more comfortable in your own shoes, whether those shoes are fat, old, ugly, whatever. And not because you've changed your shoes or gotten fancier ones or fixed them, but because you finally own that they're your shoes and they're perfect. So here's what I would share with you if we were to pull the bags off our heads and meet in Starbucks for a coffee. The first thing I want to share is that this matters. If you run a business, you likely need to be visible in some way because that is how people learn to know, like, and trust you. But it doesn't matter how many people love you if you don't think you're lovable in here. And it may not be weight for you like it was for me. It might be age or shyness or bad lessons in your past from toxic people or just tall poppy syndrome. But whatever your reason, I think it's a basic human right to be able to speak up and speak out if you want to. So if you find yourself wanting to speak up, but you feel like you can't, that is the problem. You don't have to be an influencer or have a big following or make edited videos, because the goal isn't about attracting huge numbers of people or making a spectacle of yourself. The goal is being visible to the most important people, your potential clients. Just a handful of them can give you the business that you want, but you have to show up and talk to them. The second thing I want you to know is that you can learn to be visible. And I know that because business did not come naturally to me. I didn't feel comfortable talking about money until I was 4 years into running my own business. And I didn't want to talk about my business online until 6 years in. And just in case you don't believe me, here's some photographic proof that I am not a classy businesswoman. And I've weighed over 300 pounds my entire business life. When I first started getting visible online, honestly, I felt like I had no right to say anything because of my weight. Who would listen to me? I'm fat. What if they look and realize that I'm fat? And then this whole charade will be over. This sounds so stupid, and I'm not a stupid person, but this is what I felt. I wish I could convey how much of a thick, impenetrable wall this felt like when I was first starting to post online. And there's really no real reason for feeling that way. People hire me and like me and wish me well. But I suppose I thought that was because I was quietly operating in the background, and people were tolerating me. And if I stepped up to the front, I'd be put back in my place. It breaks my heart that you could be feeling the same way. What I needed to learn at that time, and maybe what you need to learn right now, is I am lovable exactly how I am. Me. Now. Everything about me. Flaws and all. Extra pounds and all. And I deeply, madly believe that you are lovable and worth listening to, whatever you've got going on right now. Let me read you a short excerpt from The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galway. I think this will shed some light on how I see you and all my business peers. When we plant a rose seed in the earth, we notice that it's small, but we do not criticize it as rootless and stemless. We treat it as a seed, giving it the water and nourishment required of a seed. When it first shoots up out of the earth, we don't condemn it as immature and underdeveloped, nor do we criticize the buds for not being open when they appear. We stand in wonder at the process taking place and give the plant the care it needs at each stage of its development. The rose is a rose from the time it's a seed to the time it dies. Within it, at all times, it contains its whole potential. It seems to be constantly in the process of change, yet at each state, at each moment, it is perfectly all right as it is. You, right now, are a rose. I am a rose. None of that physical stuff matters when it comes to the experiences I can share, the inspiration I want to offer, and my humanity and personhood. And the same goes for you. The third and final thing I want to share is that it's not about numbing yourself to it. I want to be very clear about this, though I know the internet is not the best place for nuance. I'm not saying it doesn't matter that I have this personal characteristic or that you feel self-conscious about whatever you've got going on. How you feel matters, and what other people think about you can matter in a lot of situations. The solution is not to numb these feelings and just get over it, because I think that can come back to bite you. Instead, I'm challenging you to peek inside and be brave and face what you think makes you a lesser person. I think we should prod back at those feelings that say you're too old to contribute anything, or you're not pretty enough to be seen, or you're too weird to be loved. It can be scary, but in my experience, it's only made me stronger when I dig into why I hate a certain thing about myself, or why I look down on myself for certain things. When you picture that inner critical part of yourself, whose voice do you hear? When I stop crying long enough to ask these kind of questions, I quickly recognize where these messages came from, and I could work on them and work through them. I didn't dig it out right away because they had really deep roots, but over time, with work with my coaches and with deep reflection time in my journal, it really made a breakthrough. I made a journey from hating my weight and hiding it, to ignoring it and deciding I was too powerful to care about it, to actually accepting myself and loving myself exactly as I am, to seeing the beauty in the bad photos, the things I've gone through, and the person I've become. A great example is a photo I shared earlier this year from a photo shoot in 2013. At the time these photos were taken, I wept. I thought I looked so fat, so masculine and unfortunate. I felt like I was trying so hard, and I was embarrassed of myself. I deleted them from my phone. The only way I could get those photos was going on my husband's phone. And now, more than 10 years later, looking back, I see a stunning, romantic woman. I see someone I'm proud of, someone I'm grateful to. I see the state of my body then, and I love it exactly how it is. There's no alternate reality with some perfect version of myself. There's just that perfect reality reflected back to me in this photo from 10 years ago. Real growth, the kind that empowers you to share your perspective, is about embracing and loving yourself exactly how you are right now. Overweight, underweight, sick, healthy, old, young, exactly how you are, exactly in this moment. You know what happens when you work on these three things? You have the inner freedom to dream, and that's huge for your personal life and also your business. When you're not worried about being too fat or too old or too dumb, you can network with new people. You can put yourself out there and connect with new people with confidence. And if not confidence, at least with a sense of peace. You stop taking it personally if somebody declines or decides not to work with you. And you feel a new strength when you're making new offers or negotiating projects. And you can build a business you're proud of in exactly the body you have today. This is me. This is me too. I love every version of this person. And I want that for you too. If this resonates, if you love this, my challenge is to share a photo of yourself, something you think is unflattering, something that presents you in the worst light, and tell me why you love that person.